we're back with another video. It's me, Gnomonkey. We're back with another Mokha update, and this time it's pretty good. So let's take a look at it. The last video, if you caught it, was pretty glum. Basically, they're just like, hey, it's good enough. We're going forward with what we're doing. We're gonna just poll everything, and we just think it's good enough, even though no one in the community likes it. Community gets outraged, including me. We make a video telling people to vote no on that poll, and then we get this yesterday. So here's what it was. Following your feedback after yesterday's update, we've made the decision to hold off on polling the Delve boss rewards. Good. This is good. This is good, because I was definitely going to just straight up vote no to that. We understand that as a brand new encounter type and endgame content, it's so important that it has rewards you're excited about, and it's clear from your feedback that our current offerings just don't hit the mark. So we're going to spend some time redesigning the Delve boss rewards to deliver you 2 completely new items and a rework on another. We'll be looking to provide solutions to commonly felt gaps within the game already, with a particular focus on magic. We really want to set expectations here, so based on our current discussions, this is the direction you can expect us to take. We're still aiming for round 3 polled rewards for this content, all of which will be tradable. That's very important. Everything needs to be tradable, and I want them to keep that. That's super important. This needs to be profitable long term. The boss pet and any other cosmetic or content-specific rewards would be on top of these. We'd still like to include a version of the Avernic treads, but we'll be taking another look at how to make them more exciting and how they'll sit economically. The boots are perfect. Boots are totally fine. My issue is just that they weren't enough on their own. All right, they're not enough of a draw to endgame content. Just a boot upgrade is not enough. Doing this as we have seen an appetite for moving from a 9-way gear switch to an 8-way switch. It's so annoying doing 9 ways. Especially, I've had cases where I've had to do 10 ways with like a shield on top of a boot switch along with rings and stuff. Like it gets really cumbersome in the inventory. So, and we're confident we can come back with a rework that fills this desire while being more on par for what you expect from this encounter. I don't think they need to rework the boots, but they need to add more in other areas. I think the boots were pretty agreed upon to be good. It's just they needed more here. The Eldritch necklace will be dropped and will rework on a completely new reward. I don't mind the necklace as a reward space. The only thing that felt kind of disingenuous about it was that they just nerfed the occult and now they're immediately feeding it back to us. It just, I don't know, it felt a little gross. That's all. That was my only issue with it. I think there might be a different, I was always thinking Torn bracelets as a reward slot maybe instead, but I don't think this was a huge deal. If they wanted to keep the necklace, I think it would work, but it looks like they're dropping it. Okay. Similarly, we'll remove the diabolical aegis and design a completely new reward. I don't mind this as kind of a weird like side grade reward, but really they just need solid hard hitting items at this point. They just don't have enough, so maybe that is the best way to go. Makes sense to me. We're also strongly considering the gap between Sang and the Shadow, and have loved seeing all the suggestions you've been making. We've collated all those we've seen, and we'll be considering them while working on our new designs. Okay, so something between Sang and Shadow, that makes sense to me. Some kind of mage weapon. Makes sense to me. I think this is a good slot for it. Something like that. That could be your big ticket item, like a main hand weapon item. Could be something that's like a real draw here. We'll be back to pitch our new ideas in a couple of weeks. We need a little time to do such a rethink on these rewards. As part of that, we'd like to be able to focus on the Delve boss going forward, and to do that, we'd like to have the Slayer Dungeon quest and new Naga rewards locked down. To achieve this, we're still going to go ahead with a poll, which you'll see live from tomorrow, February 6th. We'll be able to have your say on the new melee weapon, the Antler Guard, and the Earthbound Tekapatal. Okay, cool. So they're pulling everything except Mokha. Sounds good to me. I think I didn't have an issue with anything else, so I would expect everything else here to pass. No biggie, no biggie. I did also have Mod Rice get into contact with me, so we're gonna like have a back and forth on exactly what I'm thinking and like what the community is thinking about this kind of reward space and what people kind of expect from a boss of this like caliber. I think there's a big disconnect that they've had with the community, which is the community doesn't fully understand what this content is going to be. Reddit thought for a while that this was Inferno, and I kind of leaned into that with the clickbait on the first video where I called it the new Inferno, but they called it Inferno tier difficulty. It's not really a new Inferno. And I think Reddit kind of ran with that. They're like, this is the new Inferno, and it's not. But I think nobody really knows what this boss is supposed to do. In my head, this was the infinite scaling ultra hard Telos edition from RS3, and this is going to be something to push people to their limits, push the best players to their limits for real rewards. And they've already said, hey, after Cave 8, it's not going to scale anymore. So what I think it is isn't accurate either. I think nobody really knows what this boss is, and maybe fully laying out a little more clearly what they're thinking, like design-wise with this would help, because it's really hard to think about rewards when you don't know what the encounter is. If you're expecting a raid and then it has 2 rewards from it, you know, you're going to be upset. But if it's supposed to be something like Nightmare or Nex or something like that, it works a little better. I think my big thing with something of like next tier difficulty is a few decent rewards and then a currency, a charge of some kind that allows it to be profitable long-term, similar to Sunfire Splinters, is going to be really important to also prop up the drop table. So having I think they're after 3 rewards here. Having 3 solid rewards is fine, as long as it's also propped up with some kind of charge currency. And there's loads of ways, I'm sure we're going to talk about it, loads of ways that you could do some kind of charge currency long term. I think charging this new weapon would work well. I think charging multiple things from the encounter with this new like currency would be really important. And a concern a lot of people have with currencies is that it's annoying to get on Iron Man. But I think in this case, they should just make it drop a ton of the currency at Cave 8. And then every time you clear after even it could be in addition to your drop, you just get this currency, like a lot of it. So it's like currency and reward, right? So if you're really good and you're doing Cave 8 like a long ways after Cave 8, like you're doing Cave 8 repeatedly multiple times, I feel like you should be getting enough currency to last hours and hours and hours. So I think in that case, it would be totally fine, but it needs that to keep it profitable, like long term. For those people that are capable of doing this boss at the highest difficulty, that needs to be the reward, like to encourage you to do that. So I think that's really, really important. And I'm hoping we can come up with something that works that's a little less weird than that Thrall upgrade. Maybe something that works just a little more simply. That would work here. Maybe some kind of special effect on the weapon when it's charged versus uncharged or something like that. You know, something like that I think is really important. So I'm going to be discussing a lot with them. We're going to try to get this figured out. Basically, it seems like they're starting over on this encounter, like at the drawing board, because people were really unhappy with it. I wish they tried to do this a little earlier instead of just like kind of flailing around and then just like, you know, okay, we don't know what we're doing. We're going to now ask for help. I'm glad they're asking for help. I just wish they did it a little earlier, right? But I think they're doing the right thing now. I really do. I think they are headed the right direction. I think we're going to turn this into a solid encounter with a little bit of work. I have roughly 6 reward ideas in my head that I'm going to be putting down on paper for the next like day or two, throwing into calcs and just seeing how they would work. It's basic rewards with a slight twist. That's what I'm thinking. You know, like gear pieces that have added like BIS damage, but also maybe a special twist. You know, some minor benefit on top. Maybe that works only when they're charged or something like that. That's the kind of thing I'm working on. I'm going to throw those into calcs and I'm going to figure out how that looks, if it's broken at any bosses with the stats I have in mind, or if it's not good enough. I'm going to figure out where it works and find some rewards that work at a majority of places and that are interesting for people to use. So that's my goal. I've got some good ideas. I think at least if I give them like a pile of like 6 ideas, they can pick out of that like what sounds good and run with it. I think at this point they're kind of too far to be doing anything that's like completely game-changing, game-shattering. Things that do different things on a Tuesday when it's raining. It's probably not in the cards at this point, I would guess. But I think we can get some things that are solid additions to the game that aren't like crazy. You know, they're simple to understand and they just work well. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do. I think that's what this boss really needs, is a solid currency backing it and then some rewards that work. They aren't mind-boggling, but definitely solid additions to the game. I think that's what we need. I want to say thank you to everybody watching and like everybody who's been talking about this, like for actually caring about this, because a lot of times, you know, like the takes I have, a lot of people disagree or just don't care in general. But in this case, like a lot of people are really excited for this boss and a lot of people have different ideas for making it good. And you guys got this changed. Like you got them to listen and here they are. The devs are people, like they want a good game as much as we do. So it's amazing to hear that we've been heard and they're going to listen to us and, you know, hit the brakes on this a little bit. I think that's really good. That we've done a great job as a community. I think that's great to see. A lot of times, you know, I have an idea and just nobody's vibing with it and it goes nowhere. But in this case, a lot of people were just like, this is not it. This is not going to work. And everybody was in agreement and we got it changed. Great to see. As long as we keep doing this kind of thing when things are not working out, I think the devs are really receptive to that. They read posts, they do hear things. It's just like, you know, sometimes they go astray a little bit and the community is like, hey, we don't want this in game this way. So that's really good to see. It's really, really good to see. Wrapping up, this is the last day for Golden Gnome voting. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below where you can vote for my nominations. I got nominated for Best Guide Maker and Best Streamer. So if you think I deserve any of those, you should go vote, vote, vote. If I do win, I will do a stream painting my body gold. So that'll be, that'll be an experience. Leave a like if you liked it and or subscribe. Thank you so much, guys.